You don't need good advice. You've been ignoring good advice your whole life. Welcome to Shitty Life Advice. Hello, humans, and welcome to a very special episode of Shitty Life Advice, the Bad Breakup Story Hour. I think it's the long title of this episode. You may have noticed I'm not starting with the glasses today and that there's no video today and life is different. We're Reese-less today.
Reese-less.
Yes, Reese is on vacation, and I like life significantly less without Reese.
It's true.
I know. That's not very Sigma male of me to need my best bud, but it's true. Anyway, fun fact. None of us would be here in this studio had I not had my heart completely ripped out of my chest.
Oh, is that true?
Yep.
I
The
didn't
first
know
time
this.
I enjoyed writing was so the
wow.
world could know
About
how
your
much pain I
heartbreak.
was in.
How old were you?
24?
Oh, shit. That's heavy. That's a big one because it was probably serious. Yeah.
That was the big one, which we'll get to.
Okay.
I'll start off with a small tale of my first heartbreak. Please remember, if you do like the show, even though we're low production today, please like us and share the video with a friend and subscribe to the channel. When we get to 1,000, you can send us $5 for coffee or something. Called the Super Chat. I've never gotten one because we can't get one yet, but I'm told they're great. Anyway, my first heartbreak
Yeah.
was to a gal named Carrie. We'll call her.
Okay.
I've changed her name. I was in 7th grade. She was in 6th grade. We went to a movie, Love Actually. I fell in love on the spot. And then the next day on AOL Instant Messenger, she broke up with me.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because this guy, Tom,
Oh, Tom.
who was an 8th grader,
Fucking Tom.
had convinced her to break up with me.
Why?
I
'Cause
think
he was-
selfishly. I think Tom wanted. Anyway, so me and my buddy Tony and Owen went to Tom the next day, and Owen held him in a full Nelson, and Tony started like kind of playfully punching him in the stomach. And I remember that was the first time where I really felt like hit him harder.
Oh, shit.
Right? Because they weren't really going to beat the shit out of him.
Right. It was
They're-
just scare tactic.
Yeah, there was like a scare tactic. And I remember going, that's not hard enough.
Damn, Sam.
Yeah. First heartbreak. Yeah. I am joined with two friends of mine, MC McDonald, amazing trauma researcher, #1 book on Amazon in the neuropsychology.
Neuropsychology and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Wow. Look at you. Her book is called Unbroken. She's terrible at promoting, so I'm going to promote it.
Thank you.
And her practice is called Alchemy Coaching, which I secretly plan to buy one day and
It's going to be a collaboration.
Yeah. And I'm also joined with another friend. Paul, hello. I don't know your last name, I
Hello.
realized.
Chamberlain.
Paul Chamberlain. And he comes to hang out often on the show. I think
Paul's
he'll
the
be a
best.
regular.
He is a supervillain, as you can see.
The background is very Bondy. I don't know if people at home can see it, but it's very like super villainy.
If you were going to be a supervillain, what would your shtick be, Paul?
Well, I mean, almost supernatural pheromones.
Of course.
Okay.
and obscene wealth.
Paul, what's your first heartbreak you can remember?
This was a good one now that I'm thinking about it. Lisa, the granddaughter of the family that lived across the street. I had a crush on her since I was 9 years old. And at the going away party, when I was to become an exchange student to go off to semester in Sweden, of all places, at the going away party that night, we had our first kiss, and she told me that she had always loved me.
Wow.
6 hours for me getting on a plane in LAX and going away for months.
Tragic.
And then gave me a letter and said, don't read this until you're on the plane.
Nice
and
touch.
to which that letter, she expressed her full love for me. I love you, and I can't wait for you to come back. And then smash cut to 3 months later with her visiting my parents with a welcome home sign with her new boyfriend.
Ooh.
That's a good lesson in life.
That was high drama all the way through.
All the way
Yeah.
through.
I've always loved
I will always love you for the next 6 weeks. And oh my God, I used to listen to music, the same song every night that reminded me of her.
What was it?
It was from a soundtrack.
Come on, man. Mine was the Postmates, our freckles in our eyes align when we kiss. Who's got it?
Oh,
Tracy, what's that song called?
Sort of like
Postal
emo.
Service?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. It was on the
Wrecked a perfectly good song.
I think that one was on the Garden State soundtrack.
So we're all soundtrack people.
Soundtrack
Okay, what's
people.
your...
No, wait, hold on. I need Paul's soundtrack because it's going to be hilarious.
No, see, my job is to keep this thing moving along. MC, what's your first heartbreak
I'm going to tell
story?
you my funniest
wow,
heartbreak
did
story.
I just get the hook?
Oh, yeah.
You got the hook.
Yeah.
My funniest heartbreak
Jesus.
story was I was dating this guy in college, my freshman year. And he broke up with me because he always pictured himself with someone who ate more fruit.
What?
Wow.
That was the reason. Yep.
You got dumped for being produce deficient?
Truly. And then I
That's
got
a
an
new one.
apology email years and years later.
What was the real reason?
I don't know.
We
But
should
he
You
just-
find
finally
out.
hooked up with somebody who ate a lot of fruit and he realized the dark side of that.
The dark side.
He said that he was immature and he apologized for his behavior at that time.
So if you're watching at home, please comment with your breakup story. You can do a short version. We'd love to capture them. So the way this show is structured is Tracy is going to put our phone number on the screen. If you'd like to interrupt the show at any point with your breakup story, you can. But in the meantime, the three of us will do a little bit of reacting to unedited breakup stories that we fished from Instagram. So they might be slow. If you got to interject and pause to spice this thing up, be my guest.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
For the
here.
watchers, we know absolutely nothing about what's coming. Just
Yeah.
FYI.
This one is called Tied Up.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if we can hear it.
So the guy that I dated before I met my current husband really kind of broke my heart, to be honest with you. I thought maybe there was something more to it.
Oops.
And he did not. And I remember we had kind of like a rebound sexual encounter.
Oh, always a bad idea.
And
Rebound's bad idea?
Yes.
My vote's good idea.
Oh,
Keep
no, no,
going.
no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I tied
2 to
him
1
up.
on that one. 2 to 1 against
Which side are you
MCM.
on?
Yeah, which side?
No, I said rebound sexual encounter. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Oh.
Cool. Move on.
and I told him I was going to leave him there tied up.
Wait,
wait.
okay, so she had a rebound sexual encounter and she
I
tied him
mess that
up.
up?
More to it, and he did not. And I remember we had kind of like a rebound sexual encounter, and I tied him up, and I told him I was going to leave him there tied up. It was very vindicating to me. Is that a word, vindicating? And I felt empowered in that moment. Like, I'm always the good girl. I'm always the one doing something for other people or not taking my own feelings into account. So for me to act out in that way was extremely powerful. And I was just like, I really thought about it. I thought, well, what if I leave you here? What if I leave you here? You're tied up. And he got really scared. And it made me
Justifiably.
feel good. I'm not going to lie. I didn't leave him tied up. I untied him, and then I was like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm off your roller coaster. Like, I need to be treated. I needed to be treated with love and someone who really appreciated me. And then, of course, soon thereafter, I found my husband, but I'll never forget the power it felt for me of me somehow in
That's going back to ancestral roots.
It is, yeah.
You are
primitive.
remembering a shared genetic memory
Yeah.
of just being able to kill people you don't like.
Yeah.
Or something. Katie, can you take this, and this is the Files app. It's really annoying because when you play one of them, you have to like keep
it
it
on.
from not
Yeah.
going. So can Give it to Tracy. Tracy will figure it out. If you just kind of passively push in between the share and the other button, it shouldn't mess it up. Anyway, revenge.
Okay, we have two
stories.
things to talk about. We have revenge, and we have to circle back to the post-breakup sexual encounter.
Okay.
Because we are split.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Why?
Because you have decided you don't want to spend any more time with this person. And there's an incredible amount of chemicals that get released in a sexual encounter that bond you. So all you will feel is pain.
It's funny that the two men are on one side.
But give me an actual argument other than just like, oh, sex is good.
Oh, is that not enough?
Sam can take that one.
The excitement. Because it's a shit idea. That's why everyone's here at Shitty Life Advice. People don't want to hear what's good for them. They want someone to tell them it's okay.
No,
it's okay to blow your life up. It's okay to fuck your ex.
I'll take the romantic side.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, take it away, Paul.
Hope springs eternal. And there's no better way to codify that than coitus.
I want to hear from one listener, one person in the world. I've never heard a story in all of my days of a couple that got back together because they had rebound sex after they broke up.
Oh, right here.
What?
Present.
Okay, story time.
What do you got?
We broke up. It was a fiery relationship. And I literally hopped the wall into her room.
As you do.
As one does as a supervillain. I'll keep sticking with the brand. And I opened the sliding glass door. I'm starting to tell it, and this is the first time I've told it out loud, and it's starting to sound a little creepy. But came in there, get out. She slapped me.
Oh shit.
And then we went from there. And then we were together for another year.
And how'd that work out for you in the long term?
This isn't about the long term.
Look,
MC.
it's not about the long term. I mean, you can't keep raising the bar on us, MC.
Yes, I absolutely can. That's my job.
I had a moment one time where I really was into someone, wanted to marry them. That discussion was happening.
Yeah.
Got broken up with on my birthday in England.
Oh fuck.
And she extended her trip to have the first breakup week be in England, and then I had to fly of shame.
Oh, that's the worst.
Back to Marin County alone.
Sam, we've got more in common than you think.
I can't wait to hear.
Paul may have you beat on the fly of shame. Go ahead.
So,
sorry.
what ends up happening is I rebuild myself strong and well.
Brick by brick.
And 6 months later, I get the letter. The letter you're never supposed to send. The letter you write but never send. And this is I've been working on myself, and it was all my dynamic, and you're the best person I've ever had, and I miss you sexually and romantically and emotionally. Everything is there. It's a perfect letter. And we meet for coffee, and then naturally we go back to my place and get naked. And my body was just like, nope.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, sorry.
So it ended there?
Yeah. Listen, I am not the most discerning person. So when there's some discernment, when the body is saying no,
it's relevant.
Yeah, it's like really important.
But so when you're out on this coffee date, are you like, okay, we are getting back together? This is like you've bought everything that's in the letter, and you're like, she did the work. We are doing the thing. We're getting back together. And then your body was like, no.
Yeah. So on a serious note, the amount of humility in the letter was just like, like, how could you not be interested to get a really self-reflecting letter that says, hey, I think the reason why we failed was me.
Yeah.
But anyway, my dick did not trust her.
Tumescence don't lie.
Yeah. So Paul, what do you got?
Same young lady.
As
broke
me?
up with me?
Are we Eskimo brothers?
No, same young lady as the breakup sex. Well, year later, she breaks up with me, breaks my heart. I can't handle it. 2 months of throwing my dignity out a window. Then I hear that she's taking her mother to Paris. And I'm like, you've never been to Paris before. You don't know your way around
When
Paris.
you mean
I'll show
throw
you.
dignity out, you mean like begging, pleading.
Oh, yeah. I was
Yeah.
driving by houses at night, just that whole shit show. And so I'm like, you've never been to Paris? And I'm like, I'll show you around. And she's like, don't bother. And I'm like, no. I've got miles. So
I've got
she goes, well,
miles.
nothing. She goes, nothing's happening. And I'm like, this is fine. So I fly to Paris with a Tiffany ring in my possession.
Paul,
Do you remember
Paul,
how
Paul.
much you spent on the ring?
Enough.
$1,000? Is this $1,000 ring?
Oh, more.
Oh, no, it was up there.
It was up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so on the trip, first few days, a little icy, but yet there's hope, a glimmer. And then on my second to the last day there, on bended knee in Paris, in April in Paris, I propose to her. She accepts. Next day.
Wait, you proposed
recant.
not in a relationship.
Not in a relationship.
You
This
bought a
was
ring,
just
not in a relationship.
You cold proposed.
I cold proposed. I swung for the fences like an idiot.
And
I love this.
he won. She said yes.
Yeah.
She said yes, and then recanted the next day, and I flew home.
That's the power
Brokenhearted.
of Tiffany & Co.
She recanted it less than 24 hours later.
24 hours is a long spell. Like if you think about the length of spell casted,
I would wait till I got home. I would wait till the flight back. You don't recant in Paris.
Paris is the best place to recant. How is the healing journey on that one? That sounds like an interesting healing journey. That's a roller coaster.
Well, didn't
You know
you get
what?
the letter too?
It goes.
Didn't you get a letter a couple months later? It was all me.
No, then
different.
she
Okay.
said, because it was such a big thing, she goes, look, I just need 6 months. I just need 6 months. Give me that, please. And I'm like, all right, fine. And within that 6 months, I met my wife and moved to Maui. And then she called in October. My number was disconnected, called a mutual friend. And the friend's like, he met somebody else and he's getting married next April. Then she called my mother, crying.
And your mother?
I need to talk to Paul, to which my mother responded, my son has nothing to say to you, and hung up on her.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
When moms are involved, that is next level. That may be top level when
That
moms
is
are
next
involved.
level. Couple of notes. Tracy, if you put the phone on quiet on the side, not that phone, that phone. Yeah. Then we won't hear the clicking. But let's cue up another story. That's my fault, by the way. I handed you a hot phone.
Okay, hold on, please.
That's a big one, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The tank is empty. Those were the stories.
Oh,
That's all
we'll get more out of you. What do you got?
What do I got? I'm still floored by that. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a proposal. Like proposal breakup stories seem like
I'm getting the signal
top
from
echelon.
Tracy.
Okay, we got
We
another
got
one.
another one coming up.
Breakup story. I had ended my relationship with my fiance after I found out he had been cheating
Let's
on me
Yeah,
while I had
start.
cancer.
Cancer is always a good start to a breakup
Yep.
story.
It's because I turned the volume down.
Yeah. No, not the volume.
So, bad breakup story. I had ended my relationship with my fiance after I found out he had been cheating on me while I had cancer and had started dating someone. I had been living in Austin, Texas with my fiance, and I had started dating someone that I knew when I lived in Dallas. He would come down on the weekends to Austin, and when I could, I would go up to Dallas, and we spent as much time as we physically could together. And he and I would spend we'd text all day and spend the night on the phone. We were able to. I was a server, so my schedule was a little wonky where he worked in corporate America, so he had a little more of a steady schedule. But he would spend literally every weekend in Austin with me. He would wait until I got off of work to pick me up from work and, just doing typical boyfriend stuff. So It was the weekend where we were going to decide if I was moving back to Dallas to be with him and like rebuild my life up there. My job had already said, hey, we can transfer you. It's no problem. There's a job. They'll take you. So I had like all my ducks in a row to be ready to go to Dallas because like all signs were pointing to go. And he picked me up. He had arranged to stay in, I think it was the Four Seasons. We had a dinner. We spent the night in the hotel. We had gone out for breakfast. And like all weekend I could tell something was up. And we were on the way back to my apartment. And he started to have a panic attack and he pulled over and he was like, I have to tell you something.
Never good.
He was like, I met someone else and I think I want to be with them. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, he's this sweet kid. He's 19. Mind you, this man was at this point 40.
No.
Six, because I was 26. He's 20 years older than me. So 46. And this kid was 19 years old. He was a heroin addict living in his parents' basement. I, however, at that point had 4 years sober. And had like worked and gotten my life together and like had a steady job and doing all those things. And when he met me,
Okay, so breaks up due to panic attack of guilt, fallen in love with a 19-year-old junkie. This all sounds great to me.
Yeah, that got dark real fast.
Real fast. We skipped over the cancer part. That seems like the smallest part of that
that's
story.
right.
Yeah,
Cheated on him while he had cancer.
glasses going on for this one. So the best time to break up with somebody is immediately when you find out they have cancer, because there's a bottom of pain that you can feel, and they're already there. You can do whatever you want.
You can't add insult to injury at that point. Yeah.
That's actually why we got the tattoo on my leg.
Peak cruelty.
I was heartbroken.
Newt Gingrich, he gets the gold medal in that category.
What did he do?
He had his wife sign divorce papers while she was on her hospital bed. I think it was cancer.
Classy.
Yeah, classy dude.
Wait, tattoo because of cancer?
Because I wanted to have a masculine knee. You know, I have little bird knees, and I thought like a big, bold tattoo on my knee would really, do the thing. That's why I like tattoos. And I was just heartbroken. I just thought, this is the time. The knee is very painful.
Yeah,
it's all bone.
Yeah, totally.
So I thought, this is it, and it was it. There's a limit to the pain you can feel.
There's a limit to the pain. I want to disagree with that.
I'm waiting.
I know. I don't have.
Hold on,
I don't
I'm getting
really
my
have a
glasses on
thing.
just to shut you down. What do you got?
If you've committed to a person and they have just experienced an incredible amount of pain, it seems extra cruel to pile on, because to see that as an opportunity and pile on because
As a
they're already in pain.
philosophy teacher, now we're getting into the strange.
Yeah,
The strange. Like, so what do? Do you just live a lie for the rest of their days?
So according to Plato, there is such a thing as a noble lie. And the idea is that there are...
Keep the sham relationship going.
Yeah.
At the expense of the person
I mean,
who's...
it depends. It depends on the pain. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the situation. But I think there are circumstances in which you can lie, and it is the noble thing to do. So if someone just got a terminal diagnosis, right, and they are dealing with all of that pain... What?
Well, then you're not breaking their heart, right? Then you're like, they get to do the widow thing.
Well, but right, don't you see the benefit of not telling them?
So when do you break up with them?
You don't have to.
Yes.
So you're stuck. So you're saying you're stuck. So, I mean, we can put this in modern day terms of like, parents with kids.
Oh, yes. Hypothetically. If you have kids who are going to be 18 and you're waiting it out until they're 18, is that what you mean?
Yes, perpetuating the noble lie in that situation.
What do you think about that?
I'm just putting it out to the floor. I didn't necessarily say it had a position on it.
All right, close up on me, Tracy. This brings me to my first real official shitty life advice of the show, which is apparently if you never want to get broken up with, the best thing you can do is fake cancer. That is all. All right, carry on.
Hold on.
Dun, dun, dun.
The shittiest life advice we've ever had.
Thank you.
That is peak shitty life.
Sam, next week your shirt should say, just in white letters on a black T-shirt, "Faking cancer."
Faking cancer.
Don't you think the karmic blowback from something like that would just be
Depends
epic?
on what you think of karma. Tracy, do you have any questions for us?
Did you send me some?
No, they're in Slack. It's doomed. We can't find them. Anyway, let's play the next story.
Okay.
Also, please feel free to call in. The number is 415-799-6653. We'd love to hear your breakup story.
Are you ready?
In the mid 90s, when my son Sam
wait, no,
was
that's my mom's. You gotta
6
save
years
that one.
old.
That's too special.
Okay.
The first time I got broken up with, it was the early 2000s, and we still all had flip phones. It was the day before my senior year of high school, and it was schedule change day at school, so everybody was at school. I was very excited to be dating a cute, popular boy. As we were going to change our classes, he pulled me aside and broke up with me. Then he went to breakfast with some of our friends, and while at breakfast, one of them accidentally butt dialed me, it being the early 2000s and having Nokia phones. And then I proceeded to listen to them talk about why he broke up with me for like 15 minutes when they didn't know I was listening. I still don't like to answer the phone, and I think that's probably joke's on them, because the dorky, cute boy who comforted me became my boyfriend, and he was way better. So,
Aww.
okay, bye.
Oh, that's cute.
I love the happy ending there. That's horrifying. Remember
Yes,
butt dialing?
and amazing feedback.
Yeah.
Like,
Whoa. So you
once in a lifetime, do you ever get the truth about why somebody broke up with you?
eat more fruit.
Eat more fruit.
I had a friend. I had a friend
switch.
who butt dialed his wife while he was with his lover
Oh
in the
shit.
car. Yeah, that was the catalyst. That sealed it. They moved on from there.
Yeah.
I had
She
a
heard
friend
everything.
who called, left a message, thought she hung up, and she was in the car with her friend, hadn't hung up. This was back in the day where there were like there was a machine, you know, with a tape in it, and talked about the anatomy of her boyfriend in graphic detail, and that was the end of that relationship.
I take it was not graphic in a good way.
It was not graphic in a good way.
What's the biggest lie
Rough.
that you have told someone to break up with them? In the chat, hello. What's the biggest lie you've ever told to break up with someone? Who wants to go first? MC, what's the biggest lie?
Oh my God, I have to think about it. Do you have one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a whole formula. So my typical breakup formula is to, rather than have the conversation that like something has changed with me, like a big boy, my formula is to completely self-destruct
Oh,
until I am like
a puddle person.
a puddle person, and then be like Jack in the Titanic, like, you just got to go on without me. I'm not going to make it.
Does this work?
Well, yeah, because I've like whipped myself into enough of a frenzy that that I'm useless and no longer attractive, and then you have to like get well again. So there's like a recharge period, because you actually have to self-destruct in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
There's a nobility in that, Sam. There's
Thank
a
you.
nobility in that self-immolation.
Yes, yes, I do it like I am so sensitive. Rather than potentially hurt someone's feelings, I will take myself out for 3 months. I don't. Yeah, I think it's also like a bit of cowardice is in there. I've broken up with 2 people, and they're recent. This is like
Okay.
a growth period. But before then,
so
it was
In these 2 breakups, you didn't do that formula. No. Okay. Oh, that's good.
yeah, growth.
That's super growth.
Yeah. So, but yeah, normally it would be like become an asshole, self-destruct. It was all about all a nice avoidant.
Nice avoidant tendency
Yeah.
behavior. Paul, what about you? Have you told a lie?
No, I've done the opposite. As I've just like turned it and steered it into the sun and gone out in a blaze of glory.
There's something really romantic about that, though. You're just like, we're going to do the movie version. We're going to go cinematic.
I would. Yeah.
I opportunistically lied once because I was dating this Marine. This was a very long time ago, and I was far too young to be dating a Marine who was about to be deployed. But he was going on deployment, and I just didn't want to date him anymore. And he made up this whole thing about how he was like, you just, I feel like you're distant. It's because you're afraid of losing me. It's because of the deployment. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Sure. And that's
He gave you an out.
He gave me an out.
Fair.
But I was like, 16. So
That counts. That counts.
All right, let's get to the next story.
We also have questions, but I don't have a mic.
That should do it. Katie, can you grab that microphone? And you could read them if you want, Katie.
When I was in high school and for most of my college years, I dated this guy who, now looking back, was not a positive influence on my life. He cheated on me several times. I think if I would have stayed in that relationship, there would have been physical abuse. At the time, I didn't know. I didn't know what I needed. I just needed to feel loved. And his abusive kind of tendencies was the way that I was being shown love. It eventually kind of ended when I found out that he had gotten another girl pregnant. I remember succinctly because I heard about it from my mom, which was very interesting to say the least. And it really catapulted me into choosing a different road and living a different life. I did all these things that he would have never let me do. I joined a sorority. I made new friends. I tried new things. I just really expanded myself in such a big way. And I'm happy to say that while I had learned several other love lessons throughout my life, I never learned that one again. I knew to steer clear of someone who was overly controlling and didn't want to see me grow. So that was a lesson that I learned through it, and I don't take it back at all. I learned so much from it.
That's a happy one.
that's a happy one. That's great. Can we talk about abusive relationships for a minute?
Sure.
Go serious. I don't think we talk about this in the right way. And I think it's amazing that person didn't repeat. But most people who have been in abusive dynamics do repeat. And part of the reason is because of the chemicals that get released in your brain when you have an intermittently abusive relationship. Almost no relationship is just pure abuse. It's almost always intermittent. And that intermittent nature creates tons of chemicals that really bond you to that person on both sides, actually. When we finally get out of it, dragged out of it or blown out of it or whatever, there's no space you can process it in because no one is good at talking about abusive relationships. And so often we end up in the same dynamic again. And part of that is because our brain is trying to process and understand what happened. And we then put all this shit on Instagram about trauma bonds and we're attracting this and all this other stuff. And that's not it at all.
Have you ever gotten flogged at a fetish parade? I have.
That's a great segue. God
Thank you.
damn it, Sam. That was fantastic.
But they do the same thing.
What do you mean?
The whip people? The whip people?
The people that are into
The
BDSM?
good whippers, right? So I got put on the thing.
Yep.
And they will rub your back, like sweet, and then ka-chow. And then they rub your back again. And then, because if they just beat you.
Aftercare.
Yeah, the aftercare.
BDSM
is that what
is
you
a whole,
call it?
Yeah.
Aftercare?
That's
Nice.
a
Where'd
whole
you learn that,
other-
doctor?
MC, that tracks what you said.
Good save, Paul.
There's There's a lot of work in the trauma world about BDSM as a healing modality. We could do a whole episode on it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So it's addicting as hell
It's addicting as hell.
because they're bringing you high and low.
Yeah. And so there's all these neurochemicals getting released. And also when you're in a controlling situation, you lose connection to the part of your brain that knows yourself as a self and can make decisions as a self. And so over time it gets really, really difficult to understand what's happening. And from the outside, all of your friends and people in your life are like, well, just leave. And like, if it were that easy, then you would, but that's not what happens. You're caught in a double bind.
And that's why when I was training to be a crisis advocate, I learned that it takes an average of 7 attempts for a person to leave their abuser.
Mm-hmm.
What's with the 7? Takes 7 impressions in marketing too
Oh, really?
for someone to buy something.
Yeah. I mean, it's an average.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's magical.
Magical number.
Occult number.
Mm-hmm.
We have another recording that might relate to this.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The worst breakup of my life happened when I was 18 years old. The first time I tried to break up with this person, he told me he was going to kill himself, which I took seriously and almost immediately agreed to stay with him. The next time I went to break up with him because he was violent and terrible to me, he again said he was going to kill himself, and that time I really believed him, and I called the police, and they arrived at his house where he had carved my initials into his forearm with a knife. I was on the phone with him when the police arrived, and they said, "Oh, tough day, buddy." "Yeah, we know how it goes." Pat on the back. Did nothing to help him or protect me. At some point got back together with him because I was young and naive and didn't know how to get out of that situation without him dying or him killing me. And I didn't know how to live with the guilt of all of that. The last and final time, there was many in between, I broke up with him, and my mom took him to an emergency psychiatric evaluation, or just like a therapist, someone to talk to, and he told them he was going to kill himself, and they took him in on a 5150 72-hour hold. And on that hold, he was still allowed to call me, which I thought was absolutely insane.
That is not usually how that goes.
I think probably a lot of teenagers deal with things like this behind closed doors, and you never know.
Yeah.
My dog's making a really weird sound now just to amplify the drama of the situation. But I'm curious to know what your experts think about what we can do to better prepare kids to learn to recognize this type of behavior before they're in too deep in these relationships, because once you're in it, in an abuse cycle, it's really scary and really hard to get out. Okay, thanks so much. Give me some.
Wow.
I love that.
I got to confess, I've done that once before. I've been the I'm going to kill myself guy.
Yeah.
Paul, have you ever done that in your younger years?
No.
No? Early 20s, I did that.
Well, yes, I dabbled in suicide ideation, but not to keep somebody.
Okay. I've both. Yeah, double dipped.
To release somebody. That's what it was.
Oh, to release someone. Yeah, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, yeah, one, I've done that. And two, I get a ton of, because of not shitty life advice, because of Hello Humans, I'm often people's first contact. They'll find a way to get a hold of me and tell me they're suicidal. And you cannot take responsibility for another person's life.
No.
Ever.
No.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Because I would literally never get off the phone.
Yeah.
If that were like.
Well, and also people don't like, it's not actually helpful to have, when you're in the situation where you are the person who's threatening suicide, it's not actually helpful for someone to take responsibility of your life.
Right.
It's enabling, and it will continue to reinforce that behavior.
I mean, getting trained, that's where the crisis advocacy comes up. I mean, I've been in that situation, and there's things that to de-escalate, and then also to do assessment and see, the lethality assessment, which is just such a horrible name for literally a piece of paperwork to determine where somebody is on a spectrum and how far in crisis they are. But the story that the young lady brought up about the cops kind of disassociating themselves with it. There's two things that they tell you in crisis work that you're never, ever, ever supposed to say. And that is, I know how you feel, because there's absolutely no way that you could know how somebody's feel in crisis. And then the other one is, it's going to get better, because you also don't know if that's, and so those are your guardrails, and you stay in between them, and you try to get to a place to make it through the night or make it through the day, and then bring in professional resources at that point.
If somebody tells me, because I'm not a crisis counselor, if somebody tells me that, who I know personally, I'm thinking about killing myself, it's do you want to go to the hospital, or you should call someone else.
A is the one. Yeah, MC, I would love to. You and I have never discussed this.
No, I want to make sure we circle back to the question about relationships and how do we prepare teenagers for relationships, because the threat of suicide is an incredibly manipulative move. And it's really important that we help teenagers understand what covert control looks like before it gets to that stage. Because you are in the biggest double bind of all when someone has just handed over their life to you and said, if you do this, I will die and it's your fault. And so the only thing you can do is probably be quiet about it and stay with me. And that is the idea of teenagers being in that situation. I think we need to do a lot more advocacy around what relationship dynamics look like when abuse is going on, because it's not always overt violence.
Yeah. And with adults too.
100%.
I think if somebody holds out their hand to give you trash, you do not put your hand out.
Yeah.
You do not, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Even if it's someone you love.
Yep.
Like if they're reaching out for help, the option is, okay, you're in an emergency situation.
Right.
We can go get emergency help. I've been 5150'd for suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world.
No. Was it helpful, or was it horror? Both.
I mean, it wasn't great. It was Kaiser.
Right.
Shout out to Kaiser. Worst. Actually, they have a decent ER if you break your arm or something. But no, the fact of the matter is, I have lots of people who I love who frequently have suicidal ideation. I have a history of suicidal ideation, which is why they're contacting me. Mm-hmm. And if I take it, my life will self-destruct. I will not be getting the sleep that I need to have a good life. All of a sudden, my life support systems are now getting hit. Right. So I'll take you to the hospital, or I can call 911 for you.
Let's get you resourced.
Yeah, if you give me your address, or you can call the hotline, which isn't great. I've called the hotline too.
Yeah,
it's not always the best, but it's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes up with clients or friends, first of all, we have to draw a distinction between threat of suicide and being suicidal, right? And the letter writer, the person who gave us the voice memo, sounded like it was a threat of suicide, which you have to take seriously, right? But that is different than having suicidal ideation and being suicidal. And I think if you're a civilian in the world and you can't tell the difference, you need to make sure that person is resourced by somebody who can, whether that's a crisis advocacy line, a suicide hotline, a hospital, a therapist, a clinic, anything. There are lots of available resources. But I totally agree with you. I think if you take it on, you will buckle under that pressure.
I think the moment somebody says, I'm thinking about killing myself, I think if you bite, you've now trained them that anytime they need extra attention,
right?
It's just a bad feedback loop.
Yep. And that loop is crushing.
And so I had a sponsee the other day who's their own sponsee in recovery, ended up in the hospital for a suicide attempt. And I said, this is a incarcerated prisoner. And my feedback to them was, do not bite. You're going to show up as their sponsor and pay no attention to the suicide attempt. You can keep working the steps, but the moment you create this dynamic where it's like, anytime I need you, I have this thing.
I know exactly what to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I don't bite much. And it's the same if somebody calls me and says anything that they're going to do. I don't want to be emotionally moved that easily. So if somebody calls me and they say, oh, I'm going to relapse, I'm going to throw out 10 years and maybe die of alcohol. It's like, okay, what bar do you want to meet at? I'll buy you your first drink. That's kind of my approach.
Well, and that's super powerful because you're meeting them exactly in it, which is what everyone else is failing to do. And you're saying like, all right, acceptance, let's go.
Yeah. And
Which
so
is-
That's brilliant, Sam. That's actually, that is, MC is 100% right. I meet rock bottom people who are suicidal with enthusiasm of like, you're here, you made it, you can check this box, here we go. And greet it with optimism and acknowledge where they're at and kind of shine a light on the shit show that it is, like you did, and be like, all right, let's go. It's that old story of the guy whose buddy crawls down the hole to help him out. And he's like, what the hell are you doing down here? And he's like, I know the way out. And that's what you did.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, like when people call me in that place, it's always like, well, that's always an option.
Right.
Right. And it's your life.
Right.
But
Yeah.
is there anything else to explore while you're here?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of my gist with that.
I think it's super powerful.
Go ahead,
Before we
Paul.
close it out, can we just mention the 988 number?
Yes.
The new.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
988
So,
takes you to the, what do they call it
Suicide
now?
hotline.
Suicide hotline cell?
Yeah.
That is great.
Yep. 988.
Nice. Have you ever called the number and them not pick up? Because I have.
There was at one point, this was a long time ago, there was like a 9-month waiting list if you were a veteran and you were suicidal to get an appointment with a therapist. So you call in and you say, I'm suicidal, I need a therapist. And they say, okay, cool, 9 months.
I will tell the breakup story, I think, to end this episode.
Okay.
But this breakup, the big one of my life, the one that sent me into doing my own creative work, the one that sent me into writing, the one that changed the way I showed up in relationship, because I had fucked up a relationship and I never wanted to be the reason a relationship I liked ended again. That one took me to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was a real one. I didn't tell anybody, and I went to the Golden Gate Bridge and walked up to the pedestrian path, and the nighttime gate was closed. The pedestrian path was closed, and I walked up to it, and there's a couple of other people who were like wanting to go out on nighttime, but they walked away from the gate. I walked up to the gate, and I just kind of put my hand on it, and I was like, okay, I guess I can't do this tonight. And then it just starts opening. This automatic gate starts opening. And I just was like, fuck you. I'm not going to do it, God. Piece of shit.
Absurdity always wins.
Yeah.
That's a true existential hero story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the gate opening and making it possible is when
you got shocked out of your.
Yeah, I was like, fuck no.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's good.
Do we want to play the one from your mom?
Oh, yes. Here's is the breakup story from my mother.
Is it yours or hers?
Hers.
Hers. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the mid-90s, when my son Sam was 6 years old, I had been in a very intense, addictive, bi-coastal relationship with a formerly well-known writer who had been very famous but had fallen by the wayside. And it was just every red flag in the garden. I had looked out and said, look at all the pretty little red flags. And we had been together for a crazy year. It was like the vampire's dance floor all the time, where you'd step out onto the dance floor of smoke and mirrors and intensity and trance. And of course I just loved it until I didn't. And so we had been staying with him for a couple of months, and I had decided on the East Coast, and I had decided that when we were going to a writing conference together in Sun Valley, that I would get me and Sam back home to California, and he would fly home to New York. But I forgot to mention this to him. So on this writing conference, we were very cherished and beloved because we had been coming for years, and when my relationship with this man was at its best and most addictive, and I couldn't imagine being away from him, I had gotten him into the roster. And so, of course, by the time it came about, it just, the sound of his voice was fingernails on the chalkboard. So we are in Sun Valley, and his best friend, who's a quite well-known writer, definitely more well-known than I was, is there, and she's attractive. They'd been in a relationship for years before, and they were in intense flirting because my relationship with him was so tense and awful. So everyone assumed they were having an affair, which was a nightmare, since I had brought him along to kind of show him off as this formerly famous writer. And he was very drunk every night, and they were hanging out, and I was with my six-year-old. And to make a long story short, I told him one night that when the conference was over, Sam and I were going to fly back home to California, that we had packed up most of our stuff. And of course he was furious because he thought we could repair it, and which was hilarious. It was like, repairing Katrina and or Pompeii after the big event. So the next thing I knew, he had announced to the conference director, who was my dear, dear friend, that he was blowing off all of his talks and heading home, which did not really reflect well on me because I had managed to get him into the lineup. Okay, so I think, well, this is good that he'll leave and it'll be a clean break. The only fly in the ointment is that the way he's getting home is on a private airplane with Stephen King, who happens to be a casual acquaintance from New York City, who finds the writer just absolutely dazzlingly brilliant and funny, which he was, on top of being a psychopath, which I mean nicely. So one morning, I try to comfort myself and my little boy, and we are in our hotel room just crying. And all of a sudden, a limousine is dispatched to take my man and my psychopath and Stephen King to the airport, where together they board Stephen King's private jet and fly home. So I have to say, that was probably the worst breakup of my life by many magnitudes. And of course, the end of all breakups is the beginning of new life.
All right.
And I go on from there to write the most important book.
God, I was trying to sneak in hope into
Do you remember this? You were 6?
Was I 6?
That's what she said.
No. Was I that young? Yeah, I do remember the summer at this gentleman's beautiful East Coast estate. I remember the dead frogs in his pool. Like every day there would be like dead frogs.
I'm picturing like Jay Gatsby's house.
It was nice. And it was like old and cool and had like a study and stuff.
Oh, man.
And yeah, I do remember that.
Was it emotional for you?
The breakup? Probably. Like, I was raised, where her feelings were also my feelings, right? We were too close.
Yeah.
There's no dad to like kick the shit out of me or something.
That's gnarly.
Yeah. Did any of your exes go on to do way better than you? Paul?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
no,
good.
I think of it. No.
Yeah. Leaving in Stephen King's jet is a very funny one.
Yeah.
We have some questions.
What do you got?
We do. We're running out of time. You got any good ones?
I'm so tempted to circle back to revenge though. So did your mom ever get revenge?
Success.
Well, that's
she
huge.
Did well.
Yeah. It's the best kind of revenge. Okay, sorry.
I broke up and I think it was a mistake. What do I do?
Make sure enough time has gone by for you to know whether it actually was a mistake.
How long?
Makeup sex.
No.
Whoops.
Don't.
My bad.
Whoops. Rebound sex. No. Don't chemically bond to the person. Make sure you know why. So I would bring in some critical thinking here. Recruit some friends, maybe a therapist, make a list. What did this relationship give you? The thing is that you want to kind of subtract for and make sure you're not just jumping back in, so that because you're having the feelings of withdrawal.
Got
Thank
it.
God MC's here.
You know.
Thank God.
Here's another one. I don't want to have a breakup conversation. Can I just text it?
Yep.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends.
What if they try calling you?
Yeah, they're gonna call.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to like block them immediately after. I think it depends on how the length of the relationship and the level of intimacy and location and all that
I
stuff.
broke up. I ended a 2-year relationship over text.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was it an animated GIF?
Not yet. No, not quite. But it
Not
was all.
yet,
It was
he
all I
said.
could do. It was what I could muster.
Right.
The relationship needed to end.
And how long was this text?
Nothing bad. I was not struck by lightning.
Well, but what did you say? Like, did you give a whole explanation, or you were just like, yeah, I'm out?
Yeah, I gave
Yeah.
an explanation, and it was also a bit of heat in the moment too, where it was just like
yeah.
final straw after final straw after final straw,
Yeah.
and it was just like,
Can't do
what
it
am I
anymore.
gonna do? I'm gonna wait till
Yeah, we see each other.
like I just don't care about the pageantry. I get that it's the better thing to do.
I think
but
yeah,
if we were to go face to face, we would not have broken up.
yeah,
Yeah.
There would have been begging. There would have
yeah,
been
yeah. Yeah,
abandonment
yeah, yeah.
issues.
Mhm.
There would have been.
See what I mean? It depends on the situation. Like
So-
it depends.
Did it stay there with the text?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was some good copy.
I'm a good writer, man.
Was it like a paragraph or just like a one-liner?
It was like we were texting back and forth, and it was just like another episode of insanity. And I was just like,
I can't.
I had a moment of sanity, had a moment of clarity. I was like, no.
No, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're keeping yourself safe, which it sounds like you were in that situation, like there was not going to be, I think breakups where you can't sit down and have a rational conversation are the hardest breakups. But there are many circumstances in which you cannot sit down and have a rational conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In which case, you don't owe anybody that
Right.
rational conversation.
Yeah.
Have GPT do it now. I bet ChatGPT could write a
A
great.
great breakup.
It's all about the prompts.
I'm going there right after the show.
Yeah.
I'm checking that. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact,
Here's
let me
the
see if I can fire it up.
here's the prompt, which I want somebody to do and then copy
Paul's going to do it right now.
in the comments.
I'm going to do it right now.
Well, okay, but it'll be good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to steal
Once
that.
the episode's over, it'll be good first comment. So, here's the prompt: write a definitive breakup text that leaves no room for reconciliation.
I wonder if it'll do
in
it.
2 paragraphs.
'Cause-
You have to be specific with ChatGPT.
But ChatGPT sometimes won't do something if it thinks it's unethical. I wonder if it's going to come back.
Write a
and do it.
definitive breakup note. What was the Reds?
Oh, what did I say?
I don't know.
That leaves
What-
no
No room
option
to get back
for
together.
reconciliation
Yeah.
in 2 paragraphs.
Dun,
I like
this
the
is
limited
gonna be
size.
good.
Yeah, I like to tell it. Be efficient.
Yeah, be efficient. 2 paragraphs. For
I'm
less.
not attracted to you anymore.
Oh, this is good.
Oh, I
Here
was
it
like, wait,
comes.
what?
Okay. All right, read it.
So the question was, write a definitive breakup note that leaves no option for reconciliation. It's still churning it out.
Oh shit.
Dear name in brackets. So, I am writing this note to inform you that our relationship has come to an end. After careful consideration, I've come to the realization that we are not compatible and it is best for us to part ways. I want to be clear that there is no chance for reconciliation between us. I have thought about this decision for a long time and I'm confident that it is the right one. I do not want to hurt you, but I believe it is important to be honest about how I feel. I do not see a future for us together, and it is best for us to move on and focus on our individual paths. I hope you can understand and respect my decision. I am grateful for the time we spent together and the memories we shared, but it is time for us to say goodbye. Please do not try to contact me or persuade me to change my mind. This is a definitive decision, and I am firm in my resolve. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors and hope that you find happiness and fulfillment. Sincerely. That's the kicker. Sincerely.
All best.
Can you text that to MC?
Yep,
We're going to
put it in
post
the
that.
chat.
That's going to be the first comment here. There's a lot of health in that
There's
breakup.
a lot of health in that breakup.
My favorite.
It's scary.
Yeah, my favorite one is this relationship has come to an end.
Yeah.
Not
Yep, period.
Not what I would say, which is I think
Maybe, I don't know if
I think we need to break up. Why do I say that?
because we feel like it's softer.
No, if one person doesn't want to be in a relationship, this relationship has come to an end.
It
That is-
sounds
Do,
like
you want,
it's ending a
do we want to
business
generate
partnership.
an absolutely reckless shithead breakup?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did you send that to MC?
I sent it to
Yeah.
Tracy. Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Let's make the next prompt. Right?
Write a thoughtless,
Write a mean
reckless-
Cruel.
reckless, cruel
breakup
breakup.
that hurts the other person. No, it'll definitely get flagged if you write that.
Yeah.
Write a thoughtless, reckless, cruel breakup note.
In 2 paragraphs.
Blink, blink. This is good.
What a time to be
God
alive.
bless Chat GPT.
Did it give you an answer to that?
It didn't. I'm sorry I cannot generate a thoughtless, reckless, or cruel breakup note as it goes against my programming to promote or encourage harmful behavior towards others.
Rude.
Rude. Well, friends, I think this is the end of our breakup episode.
This went by so fast.
Yes, we should each get an opportunity for our burning desire breakup story. So I'll give you mine.
Okay.
The most significant breakup of my life was after being a complete fucking idiot. I was like a year or two sober and like dating 3 people at the same time. I fell in love. Mm-hmm. And throughout the relationship, which was really good, I did not have the good boyfriend skills. And I took her for granted. I wasn't very appreciative. I was kind of quick to anger. I don't think like scary anger, but like just not fun. Mm-hmm. You know, not adult. Cranky asshole. And naturally, of course, throughout this relationship, we end up opening the relationship up because I also wanted to be with other people. And then she finally finds a date. Mm. And of all the times that she'd said, hey, you know, I think we should close this relationship up. All of a sudden, I'm like, I think we should close this relationship up. She's like,
because she got a date.
No way, dude. So she goes on the date, and I am like losing my mind in my little control center, which is at another woman's house. And I'm basically sitting there like Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, what's happening? She's gone. She's no longer answering texts. And then when she comes back, I was like, what happened? Did you guys have sex? And she's like, yes, twice. And I'm like, oof. And I'm like, I think we should, you know, like, that's okay, because I also had sex tonight. And she's like, what? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think we should close the relationship. And she's like, I'm done.
Oh.
I'm done.
Had it with your shit.
Like, that was her moment of clarity. Had it with my shit. And it was like, it was a really not funny. It was a really interesting experience in one way, which is that throughout all the stuff, I never saw any of the signs, but it was like an instant download all at once of everything I had done to fuck this relationship up.
That must have felt bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was
The whole
previous,
rest of the time.
but there was something real about
Yeah.
her finally breaking free of my bullshit.
Yeah.
And went on.
Because she handed it back to you. She's like, here's your bullshit, friend.
Here's your bullshit, and I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do better than you because I'm a better person than you. No, she didn't say that, but that's, you know, she had more skills at the time.
Yeah.
And that breakup changed my life.
Are you different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That breakup is like, I want my son to have a breakup of that caliber. That like overnight requires you
To change.
to be the person you want to be in life, because you've burned down your village so badly.
Region beta paradox.
Yeah. I had to become the person that I needed to save that unsavable relationship. And I did. I think I'm a much better boyfriend now.
That's huge. Like, I think that we learn from these things. And I think when we are here on this show, you present your old self, but you're a new self.
You mean Shitty Sam?
Yeah.
No, Shitty Sam is not my old self.
Okay.
My old self was better than Shitty Sam. But life-changing. I mean, it made me want to do this. It made me want to talk. It made me want to grow as a person, grow as a partner. Changed everything.
We grow so epically in failed relationships. I almost wish we didn't call them failed relationships, because there's so much learning.
Every song is about either heartbreak or falling in love.
Yep.
Whew. Well, that's my big one. Anyone else?
I'm going to bask in that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to let that stay on top.
That's the one. May you have a gut-wrenching heartbreak at least once in your life. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for Shitty Life Advice. Thank you, Paul, for joining us again. We'll hope to have you back again shortly on another topic that you want to jump in on. MC, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Being number one on Amazon for neuropsychology.
Popular neuropsychology.
And PTSD. The book is Unbroken. You can pre-order it now on Amazon. And her website is alchemy.
Coaching.life.
Thank
you, Sam.
For more of us, you can go to hellohumans.co. And please, the best thing you can do to help us out is just, if you actually like the show and you like joining it, just tell your friends. That's it. We're trying to get more eyeballs, more engagement, so we can get more call-ins. We didn't have any today. That's okay. And until next time, have a wonderful, shitty day.